Welcome everyone to our Saturday evening Nianfo sharing circle. And like before, on each Saturday evening, I'll share a rebirth case from the book called A Record of Sages in the Pure Land, which recorded many rebirth cases, about nearly 900 rebirth cases from ancient time in China to nowadays in China. So last week, we had already give a brief introduction about this book, so I won't go into details. This time, I'll just go straight into the rebirth case. And if you missed the introduction on this book, you can also refer to our sharing last week, which will be uploaded to YouTube very soon. Okay, so tonight I feel like sharing the rebirth case of Monk Huijing from the Tang Dynasty in China. So this is from volume 1, page 268. And some people ask me, do I have the electronic version of the book in Chinese? I don't, I just have a paper copy, but you can Google it or Baidu it. In China, we use Baidu to search for the cases. Many of them maybe have not been translated into English, but if you know the Chinese language, then you can search in Chinese. Okay, this rebirth case is very famous. So many people know about it. A lot of Pure Land practitioners have heard about this, and it's also very interesting. So let's read it out together. Monk Huijing of the Wuzhen Temple was a native of Zizhou. So Zizhou was actually an ancient state in nowadays Shandong province in China, like northern China. So after becoming a monk, he spent his life as a vegetarian and practiced asceticism. So as a lot of people know, Mahayana Buddhist monks in China are all vegetarians. Due to an emperor called Liang Wudi, after he read the Mahayana Sutra, and then a line from the sutra says, bodhisattvas, they're so compassionate, they will refrain from consuming the meat of sentient beings. That's why he imposed vegetarianism amongst all the monks in China, and it was very well received. So nowadays, if you go to any temples in China, it's all vegetarian diet. Okay, so he was a great admirer of Shakyamuni Buddha and Amitabha Buddha. So he carved the two Buddha statues and paid homage to them every day. At the age of 67, on the night of the 15th day of the first lunar month, he dreamed that he was approached by a monk whose body shone with golden light, and said to him, "Do you want to see the Pure Land?" He replied that he did. The monk asked him again, "Then do you also want to see the Buddha?" He said, "Of course." He wanted it even more. So before we go into more stories after this, I'd just like to say, like before he said, he paid homage to the Buddha statues every day, which he carved was Shakyamuni Buddha and Amitabha Buddha. And someone asked me how important it is to consecrate the Buddha statue, to pay homage. So this is also one of the practice, one of the ways to be mindful of Amitabha Buddha or the Pure Land. So there are actually many different ways one can seek rebirth to the Pure Land. To Nianfo, to recite, to chant the name of Amitabha Buddha is one way, or you can pay homage to the Buddha statue is also one way, if you can be mindful of Amitabha Buddha. As long as you are mindful of Amitabha Buddha is also one of the ways. So he was using the gate of paying homage to Amitabha Buddha. And then in his dream, he saw he was approached by a monk whose body was shone with golden light. And then this monk, the monk then handed him a monk's bow. The monks used the bow in ancient India, right, when they go for ants ram. So he handed him a monk's bow and said, "Then you should look into it." when he took the bowl and looked inside, and suddenly the bowl became vast and deep. So this was also in his dream, okay? So with a beautiful and adorned environment, with many treasures on display, with floors of gold, with paths of golden ropes, with palaces soaring up in endless layers, with heavenly beings and immortal children walking about in it, with countless disciples and bodhisattvas who had attained enlightenment, surrounding a Buddha, listening to the Dharma. The monk who guided him walked ahead and he followed. He followed the monk towards the Buddha who was speaking. When he reached the place where the Buddha was speaking, the monk disappeared. And Huijing stood before the well-honored one with his palms joined in prostration. When the Buddha saw him coming, he spoke to him and said, "Do you know that monk from earlier?" So the Buddha was asking him, "Do you know the monk who guided you here?" Huijing said, "No." The Buddha said, "He is Shakyamuni Buddha, whose statue you have made." The Buddha asked him again, "Do you know me?" Huijing shook his head and said, "No." The Buddha said, "I am the Amitabha Buddha, whose statue you have made." Huijing was so excited and joyful that he could not speak for a moment. Amitabha Buddha said, "Shakyamuni Buddha is like a father. I am like a mother. And the sentient beings in the Saha world are like our children. Just as parents have many children who are childish and uneducated," so referring to us children in the samsara, "and fall into a deep mud pit, fathers jump down into the deep pit and carry their children to rescue them and put them in a safe place outside the pit, where their mothers are waiting for them, embracing and comforting them, nurturing them and preventing them from falling back into the mud pit. This is how we treat the sentient beings of this world." Okay, this is really beautiful and touching. So Amitabha Buddha say, Shakyamuni Buddha is like our father, and I'm like the mother. And how the father, if their children are in danger and jump into a deep mud pit, which really referring to the cycle of samsara, which is full of suffering because we are ignorant, so we are in it. And the fathers, Shakyamuni Buddha, came to this world to rescue us, to help us, to try to put ourselves in a safe place outside the pit. And the mother, that's Amitabha Buddha, is waiting for us in the Pure Land to welcoming us, embrace us, and comfort us when we get out of this deep mud pit, which is full of suffering, and also try to prevent us from falling back into it. So that is how they treat the sentient beings of this world. Really beautiful, really touching. The Saha world Shakyamuni Buddha teach is a world of five turbiddities and evils. So in the sutra, like in the Amitabha Sutra, Shakyamuni Buddha told us that this world is really with five turbidities and evils. Turbidities are really muddy. There's five turbidities. There's a kappa turbidities, lifespan turbidities, sentient beings turbidities. So lifespan turbidities means that here we experience a very short lifespan, unlike beings in the Pure Land. So here all is impermanent. So we'll talk more about that when we talk about the Amitabha Sutra. So where people are foolish and stubborn, he told you that there is a direct path to the Western Pure Land so that you will no longer suffer. I'm here in this Pure Land to help you. And as long as you come, I'll ensure that your heart towards Buddhahood will not retreat and will never fall into the deep pit again. Now, we just studied the 48 great vows, so we should know this really well. Once we attain rebirth in the Pure Land, we'll all become bodhisattvas, non-regressing bodhisattvas, which means that we will never fall back. And we will also never fall again into the cycle of samsara unless you choose to come back to help sentient beings. But even if you come back, you will not fall. Right? You may just play a role here, try to help others. And then after you complete your mission, you can easily go back to the Pure Land. So never again fall into the three evil paths, also one of the vows of Amitabha Buddha. And for all the beings who attain rebirth in the Pure Land will all be bodhisattva of non-regressing bodhisattvas. Never fall back, never retreat. Also one of the great vows of Amitabha Buddha. When Huijing heard this, he rejoiced with joy and enthusiasm and wanted to find his fundamental teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha, so the monk who guided him to Amitabha Buddha. Just as he was about to look, all this sight disappeared and he suddenly woke up. Now this was his dream. So he dreamed all of this. So Buddhas, they can also appear in our dreams. When he woke up, he felt as happy and at ease as if he had entered meditation. From then on, he paid homage to the two Buddhas with even greater diligence and faith. Later, he dreamed once more of the golden monk who had guided him and told him, 12 years from now, you will be born in the Pure Land of ultimate bliss. Hearing this, Huijing knew that he would definitely be able to go, and his faith was even more strengthened. So he continued to practice mindfulness of the Buddha day and night without slackening. So he knew the time of his rebirth, 12 years in advance. So this also happened. There are people who can know also very much earlier in advance, or even 30 years, 50 years advance. So depending on people's different conditions, or some people may know 3 days beforehand, or there are others who can know much earlier beforehand, and due to their diligent practice. He was obviously very diligent in his practice, and he keeps a practice mindfulness of the Buddha. So the way of his practice is to pay homage to Amitabha Buddha day and night without slackening. At the age of 79, he attained rebirth. So exactly 12 years from when he had that dream, 12 years after he had the dream. I think we mentioned before earlier about his age. Oh yeah, here, 67. Yeah, so exactly 12 years. Remember, I'm trying to find the age. So 67. And then he dreamed about that monk the second time. So telling him that 12 years after, which was when he was 79. That night, the monks in the neighboring monastery dreamed that hundreds of thousands of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas were coming from the west to welcome Huijing to the Pure Land of ultimate bliss. And there was a faint sound of music in the air. Many people have heard the music that night. Okay, so also lots of people knew about this. So it's real, it's not just like someone just made this stuff up. So all the recorded cases in this book, because there were also many witnesses, and they may not need to be there next to him. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas can appear in many different ways. They can also, they dreamed of hundreds of thousands of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas coming from the West to welcome Huijing. So also highest grade of rebirth, with so many numbers of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that come to receive this person. So this is very well-known rebirth case in Chinese Pure Land Buddhism, and really wonderful. So maybe we can do a merit transfer first. May we vow to be born in the Western Pure Land, have the 9 great lotuses as our parents. When the lotuses open, we'll see the Buddha and realize the Dharma of no birth, with non-regressing bodhisattvas as our companions. May all beings hear the name of Amitabha Buddha and be reborn in the land of ultimate bliss. Namo Amituofo Buddha. Namo Amituofo.